Let's do some Kotlin. This is a series of videos where I will be covering different topics on Kotlin and how different things in Kotlin compare to Java. This is gonna be a really short video where I will just explain how you create variables in Kotlin, what are variables, how you create them, and functions, how you write functions in Kotlin. Before we start, just a couple of things to bear in mind is that in Kotlin, you might have heard that Kotlin is a functional language as well as an object-oriented language. So what that means is you can write functions on a file level. You don't have to have a class to write a function in that class. You can write functions outside of a class at a file level, and then you can actually import those functions into other files and call them directly without a class. We will also explain how that works internally when we in a later video, but for now, just to keep in mind that we won't be using any classes, we will be writing everything at a file level and running things from there. So let's get started. I think the first thing which we are going to need is a main function, as usual, that we need to run our program. This will also be a chance for you to see how a function is written in Kotlin. So a typical main function that you used to write in Java inside a class, we will write that in Kotlin on a function on a file level. The keyword for creating a function in Kotlin is fun, and then obviously the name of the method is main. The way how you provide arguments to a function is you write the name of the arguments first, followed by a colon, and then you give it type, which is an array of strings. There it is. That's our main function inside a file, and we can run it from that file. We don't need to have a class to run it. Right, let's get into creating variables. If you're familiar with Java, you know that in Java you used to create variables like this. You give it the type of the variable, you give it a name of the variable, and then equal sign, and then you give a value to that variable. In Kotlin, you have a slightly different mechanism for creating variables. Kotlin is a statically typed language as Java, which means you have to specify the type of the variable that you're creating. However, Kotlin enhances that creation of variables and creation of different values by providing two extra keywords, which is called val and var. So what we get in Kotlin is val and var. So val is for value, var is for variable. Kotlin encourages immutability at every level. We'll explain that later in another video. So the way to create variables in Kotlin is you use either val or var to create a variable or a constant, basically. So I'll start with var. I will give a name to the variable, so a variable, and then followed by colon, and then we give the type of the variable. Let's create a string, and then equals the value of the variable, which is value. So we started it with a var for variable and with a name, and then colon, and then the type of the variable, and then the value. So as we create variables in Java, we basically are saying that we want a variable called a variable, and its value will be string, its value will be value.